This video I just wanted to cover a couple little resources. Should be a short video. First, GVS catalog. You've heard me mention it a bazillion times. This is an old one, but you want to get this if at all possible. If you're a person who covers your head, or if you're a person who sews that, or both, whatever. There are lots of very cool things in here. Hairnets, hairpins, gloves, there's even underwear, bras, hosiery. There's lots of sewing notions. I love the sewing section in this. You can get things like your snaps so much cheaper than Joann's or anywhere else. But there's just so many resources. There's even toys, some books and such. One of the books that I'd like to find here, if I can. Oh, it's a Christmas catalog. It probably don't have it all. You get seasonal catalogs with this too, and they don't always have everything in it. The annual catalog does, though. But one of the books that I wanted to show you is this. These home economics. You get those out of here. You can get them online too, but GVS does have them. Okay. Their info is right here. Hopefully you can see this. Email sales@gvsdis.com. Their phone number is 1-800-398-2494. Fax 1-800-758-0939. The catalog is free. I think you probably get kicked off the mailing list if you don't order once a year or so, but personally that's not a problem for me because I usually do try to save up my things and order about once a year, and sometimes it may be even a little more frequently. Very, very useful. My favorite fabric resource aside from Walmart or Joann's is Gaiman's Country Fabrics, and forgive me if you guys are on here and I'm pronouncing it wrong. I have no idea how to pronounce it. I'm just guessing. But they have a lovely website. They sent me this back when I ordered. It was a winter 2008 catalog. I don't think they regularly send their catalog, but all you gotta do is go online. Their website's lovely. Their fabric is awesome. I love the regular tropical breeze. It breathes very well. It's not terribly expensive. It's about $4 a yard or so. It's very durable. You don't have to iron it much at all, if at all. In fact, if you pull stuff right out of the dryer or hang it straight up on the line, you probably won't have to. There's the tropical breezes. They've got other things. Windsor crepe. They've got now a fabric line called Country Rose. They've got some that are 100% cotton, some that are mix and blends. They've got all sorts of things, but they are probably the biggest resource I know of for tropical breeze fabrics. There are a few other sites that have tropical breeze too, but the point is, I think I was trying to recommend more than anything, is I like that tropical breeze fabric. I also like poly knits really well. Joann's calls them classic jet set knit, something like that. Very nice fabric for dresses, but you do have to have special needles to sew them. You need a stretch needle. For those learning to sew, this is a book my mom got me a while back. Back when I first started to really take the interest. I've known how to sew ever since I was a little girl, at least on a basic level, but I didn't really get really interested in it until probably about the time I started to cover my head, because then I needed to learn how to sew my coverings, as well as I changed my wardrobe and started going dresses only and all that, and sewing is a huge help. So I got really, really into my sewing then, and I started covering back in 2001, so it's been a while that I've been really into it, but I've sewn all my life. Or at least as young as when I started making Barbie clothes. The book is very basic, but it shows you a lot of things that what you might learn in, say, a very detailed home ec class. This is even more detailed than what my home ec class would have been by far, because we only covered sewing a short period of time, really. But all in all, it teaches you a lot of basic skills. I think it's simple, it's easy to read. I definitely recommend it. Simplicity's Simply the Best Sewing Book. And this one's a revised edition. I think these books are about $25 at Joann's, but you can use your coupon on it and get it for about half that price. So And sometimes they'll just put their books 50% off. Library. Obvious resource, I suppose, but sometimes you don't think about it. Some people just think about getting their fiction there, but don't overlook the library for your how-tos. You know, you can learn a lot: how to knit, how to crochet, how to sew, so many of those things. YouTube, obviously, is another resource, as you well know, or you wouldn't be viewing this. These books you can get on GVS. They have 3 books that are Home Economics 2, and then there's 3 books that are Home Economics 1. I don't have the ones that are Home Ec 1. They were just too basic for where I'm at. And frankly, these are kind of basic too, with the exception of the headship veiling just being the particular pattern's hard. I knew how to sew coverings plenty, but the style, that Mennonite style, the pleated cap, is very, very difficult. A lot of it has to do, the style here, a lot of it has to do with the type of fabric, that mesh, and it's extremely expensive if you buy the real stuff, and very difficult to work with. In this book, I highly recommend, if you're going to try to learn how to sew that style of covering, get this book. It gives you a lot of very valuable tips. I do not recommend that style of covering for if you're trying to learn to sew. You really need to practice with a lot more basic things first. As long as I've sewed, I find this very hard. In fact, ladies out at the church that have sewn all their lives, and probably even more than I have, quite a few of them don't make their own coverings. In fact, I think only 2 or 3 of them do, and they tend to make them for everybody else in the congregation. Those are very difficult coverings. They look simple, but they're just hard to work with. So, but if you're going to do it, get those books. This one's on preparing a cape dress. There's another one I have around here somewhere on preparing a cape dress pattern. It gives you advice for taking a regular pattern and modifying it so you can get a cape dress out of it. You need a basic shirtwaist dress pattern to do that, and it assumes that you have one or have found one. Very good book to have. I think it's very educational, and even if you're not one who wears a cape dress, I think it's just a good educational thing to have. Finally, last resource. Not really a sewing resource, but you do see a lot of articles that may talk about sewing, because most of all these ladies sew. They occasionally do have a sewing pattern in here. Various little crafts and stuff may be in here too. That doesn't just be sewing. But this is the Keepers at Home magazine. It's a quarterly magazine. It is done by, I believe, 2 Amish ladies, though they could be Mennonite. I'm pretty sure that they're Amish though in this case. The magazine is the only real magazine I subscribe to, at least a paid subscription. I love this thing. It is such an encouragement, and if you are trying to be a Titus 2 wife, a keeper at home, as the title says, I think it's really invaluable. It's such an encouragement when this thing comes in the mail, and I know other sisters feel the same way. It's usually really pretty on the front too, as a bonus, but there's a lot of articles that ladies write and asking for help or advice, little funny things like Child's View, I just passed that, articles, you know, like that, to guide the house, you know, just things that are meant to encourage and help each other as we're trying to walk our narrow path. So I just wanted to throw this in. I was going through my books and wanted to give some little things out there as a piece of advice for ladies on sewing, and that just happened to be laying nearby, and I thought, you know, they need to know about this too. So the magazine, how much is it? I think it's not that much quarterly. Now granted, you only get the 4 per year. I think when the last time I did it, I did 2 years, and I think I paid around $24, $25. So it's around 12 to 14 bucks a year. You can do it yearly, every 2 years, whatever you like, but I think they do knock off a couple bucks if you do 2 years, which to me is well worth it if you can do that. What I've done the past couple years is Usually my parents will give me a little bit of money at my birthday, which is about the same time that comes up for renewal. I've been using that money to get that magazine, and it is so worth it to me. So I think those are all the main resources. Again, I can't stress the library enough. Make sure you go through sewing resources for your library. Search how to, search maybe Sewing 101, or just any basic terms you can think of to help you find books on learning to sew, learning to quilt too. Lots of stuff out there. Try to use all the resources you can. Just because you may not have someone in your life willing to teach you or help you with it, or maybe they just are too busy, don't let that discourage you. Learn to sew and take encouragement from other sisters, and just do the best you can. Hang in there and keep following that narrow path. God bless.